There comes a day you never plan for, never schedule, never anticipate, when you wake up and something inside you simply stops. Not in a loud, dramatic way, not in anger or revenge, not in a speech or a declaration, just a quiet, unshakable shift. A stillness that feels like the first breath of morning air after a storm has passed. She was always there, wasn't she? Always bending, reaching, leaning into a space that seemed not to belong to her. Always waiting, hoping, stretching her warmth toward someone who could not, or would not, meet her halfway. And for years, she thought that if she just gave more, stayed longer, tried harder, maybe somehow, it would be enough. But it never was. And then, one morning, she doesn't reach. She doesn't call. She doesn't explain. She doesn't linger in the empty echoes of texts that will never be answered. And she realizes, quietly, almost imperceptibly, that she doesn't need to. This is not a story of revenge, not of spite or pride. It is the story of reclamation, of a woman who understood at last that chasing someone else is not the measure of her worth. That the moment she stops for herself. She wakes up and notices the small things first, the space around her, the light in her room, the air in her lungs. It's not dramatic. It doesn't feel like victory, not yet. It feels like recognition. She is here. She belongs nowhere else. Not in his arms. Not in his shadow. Not in the spaces where she once thought love should live. The world will not announce her shift. No one claps. No one sings. But those who notice, those who are tuned into subtlety, will see the difference immediately. She carries herself differently now. Her walk is no longer hurried with anticipation. Her gaze no longer seeks validation. Her silence carries a weight that was never there before. It is not emptiness. It is presence. And within this presence is the power they never imagined. The power of a woman who has stopped chasing. She eats her breakfast slowly. She drinks her coffee. She scrolls through her phone perhaps, but she does not linger. She sees the old patterns, the messages, the calls, the moments she once thought pivotal, and she does not react. She does not remember with longing. She simply observes. She simply breathes. She simply exists. It is strange at first, to exist without pulling, without offering, without bending, to exist fully, without apology, in the middle of a world that once defined her by how much she would stretch herself for someone else. She has left that behind, and in that leaving, she has found something she never knew she could carry, herself. The irony is subtle, almost cruel. Those who once took her for granted, those who once assumed she would always wait, always come running, notice it the way light notices a shift in the seasons. Her indifference is magnetic, not because she is cruel, not because she is cold, but because she no longer lends herself to being diminished. They do not know what to do with her new rhythm, her unclaimed time, her sovereign attention. She begins to understand what it means to cultivate herself, not for anyone else, not to provoke jealousy or admiration, not to reclaim attention, but because she has finally recognized the truth. She is enough. Her presence alone is a force. Her choice not to chase is her declaration. She walks through the city streets, the park, the familiar coffee shop. She moves like someone who has tasted her own worth, and it tastes sweeter than any affection she had ever chased. The world, unknowingly, starts to bend differently toward her. People speak to her differently. She listens, yes, but she no longer reacts. She does not bend. She does not chase. She simply moves, unbroken, unyielding, and she begins to fill the space she had given away for so long. She reads books she had been postponing. She reconnects with friends she had let drift. She touches her own creativity, her own dreams, the life she had set aside while waiting for someone else to arrive. This is not revenge. It is revival. Not retaliation. It is resurrection. The quietest moments are the most profound. Sitting by the window, watching the rain fall, listening to the wind in the trees, she realizes the truth that had been whispered to her in small, secret ways all along. You cannot give your power away, and no one else can give it to you. It always belonged to you. And the moment you stop chasing, it returns. Not in sparks or fireworks, but in the simple, inexorable pulse of life, steady beneath your skin. Her reflection in the mirror feels different now. She doesn't need to look to see approval in his eyes, or anyone else's eyes. She looks and simply sees herself. And what she sees is strength. Vulnerable strength, quiet grace, sacred reclamation. She feels sorrow. Yes, sorrow for the years she gave away, sorrow for the longing she endured. But that sorrow is no longer a shackle. It is a seed. And as the day unfolds, the cinematic pulse in the music swells ever so slightly, carrying the weight of grief and the lift of new possibility. She walks into the world with her gaze forward, soft yet unbreakable. Her presence no longer offered. It is claimed. And in claiming herself, she radiates a force that no chase could have ever earned, no pleading could have ever summoned. She is magnetic, not because she draws attention, but because she no longer bends to catch it. She is luminous not because she shines for someone else, but because she has returned to her own light. And the world feels it. Those who once ignored her now notice. Those who once dismissed her now hesitate. But she does not care, and she does not wait. Her power is not in their recognition, it is in her freedom. By the end of the day, she sits quietly again, her hands wrapped around a cup of tea. The sun dips low, painting gold across the floor. She breathes. She smiles faintly, not because anything has changed outside, but because everything has changed within. She has stopped chasing. She has stopped shrinking. She has stopped waiting. And in that stillness, she finds herself entirely. Not because someone loves her, not because the world validates her, not because there is applause or recognition. She finds herself because she finally stopped giving away the most precious thing she owns, her attention, her energy, her soul. The music swells fully now, cinematic and evolving, carrying both the remnants of sorrow and the wings of sacred reclamation. She rises, and though no one sees the small defiance in her walk, the way her shoulders have relaxed, the way her eyes hold a quiet fire, the universe feels it. She steps into tomorrow not with revenge, not with longing, not with chasing. She steps forward simply because she can. And that right there is the power of a woman who is not chasing anymore. It is not loud, it is not angry, it is not dramatic, it is quiet, it is steady, it is sovereign, and it is unstoppable. If this story resonated with you, know that you are not alone in your journey. You don't have to chase anyone to be whole. You are already enough, and your power is yours to reclaim every single day. If you want more guidance on reclaiming your life, your energy, and your heart, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We create videos that meet you right where you are and remind you of the strength you've always carried. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it today. Because sometimes, the quietest power is the one we forget we hold. Thanks for watching.